And we start with a story that has shocked the nation this week. It is, of course, the deeply distressing story of Brianna Ghey, who was stabbed 28 times in broad daylight last February by two people that she believed were her friends.
Yesterday, the two 16-year-olds were named in court as Brianna's murderers and sentenced. Scarlett Jenkinson for 22 years and Eddie Radcliffe for 20 years. Now, Jenkinson in particular was said to have enjoyed the killing of Brianna Ghey so much that she had a desire to kill again. Yes,
the court also heard that the pair were from normal, respectable homes and they had never been in trouble with the police before. So today we are asking, as I'm sure many of us up and down the country are asking the same, how did two seemingly average 16-year-olds murder a friend in such a sadistic and brutal way?
Does this evil come from nurture or nature?
Yes, well, joining us now to discuss this is psychologist Emma Kenny. Emma, I'm sure you've been asking these sorts of questions this week as well. How were these kids from normal homes, we've heard in court, where did it all go wrong?
I mean, personally, I think that debate is one that's going to be happening for the rest of existence, essentially, because how do you know whether it's nature or nurture? Personally, I do genuinely think that some individuals are born with a propensity for violence. I think the activation factors that occur to essentially activate that pen portrait of possibility, obviously you can look at environment, parenting and so on and so forth. But the big mismatch is when somebody says, well, to all intents and purposes, this family was a good family. This child was born in a privileged situation, in a decent postcode with reasonable parents, etc., and they still acted in this way. And I guess, like most of us are born with intrinsic gifts and intrinsic skills that are activated through our environment, so too is it possible that people are born with these qualities, with these predispositions, that just like with a great talent can equally work in a very malevolent way. And I would say when it comes down particularly to Scarlett, who has admitted to these feelings for a long-standing period of time and has admitted that in spite of being incarcerated, remains still, firstly, relatively proud of what she did, but also still has that sense of bloodlust, that you cannot help but acknowledge there is something almost within her psyche and within her genetic predisposition that has always been there as that malevolent force, just waiting for the right opportunity with the right activation and the right position to just go out and allow those true qualities to fester in the most diabolical of fashions.
I mean, you know, she has been diagnosed with conduct dissocial disorder and the symptoms are divided into four groups. So there's aggression, destruction, deceitfulness, violation of rules. So can somebody that, even if they have been brought up the right way, can they still be able to be reformed from committing such a crime? Because if this is part of a condition, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, we don't talk about psychopathy in children, essentially. So what they do is they look at conduct disorder, and conduct disorder, they say, is prevalent in about 3% of girls, about 7% of boys when they're children. It's usually to do with callous behaviour, a lack of empathy, some sadistic qualities to their actions. But as they graduate with the right intervention, and this is the problem really, we don't really have the right intervention in the UK. We don't really have intervention at all with a lot of these children because we don't have the resources. But as they graduate, hopefully with a deflection and intervention, those problems that are existing, when given the right kind of support, can be deflected behaviour-wise, so you get different outcomes, ideally. But what we're really talking about is a label of psychopathy when they get to an adult age. And yes, there are distinctions of that. Like I said, you expect 1% of the population to be a psychopath, where, as noted, it could be 3 to 7% of children have conduct disorder. But certainly when you're looking at the area of somebody like Scarlett, I would note that she's without doubt showing very highly antisocial traits, likely a psychopath. Can you change a psychopath? Probably not in the system that we have right now. Will she ever be safe to walk the streets? Possibly, potentially. I think there's probably more hope for Eddie when reading about his particular issues and understanding where his main frame comes from. But when it comes down to something like Scarlett, I think potentially she was always born to be a stone cold-blooded killer, and she's graduated a bit like Joanna Dennehy. If ever you're going to think about a comparison in modern era, I would say a thrill killer like Dennehy, who obviously killed 3 guys and then also tried to kill another 2. They have such parallels. It's about really feeling connected to the thrill of bloodlust and then being willing to take the consequences and ramifications of that because they were so excited and titillated by both of the fantasy and sadly the action in this case.
Yeah, and that's what we heard in court, didn't we? Scarlett Jenkinson in particular enjoyed the killing so much she sought to do it again. Emma Kenny, very good to get your analysis this morning. Thank you so much.